Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Veterans Day. My name is Jared. This is Justice's Waiting Room, a daily live podcast. We discuss news and politics. I'm pissed. It's Veterans Day. We're getting some mixed information here from my understanding, though. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, the U.S. government negotiated a handshake deal to reopen um, promising to talk about ACA subsidies. And here's the primary issue that I had. Donald Trump's leverage is gone. So why concede here? You just got all this support. You're winning all kinds of fucking elections, right? You're threatening to hold the president accountable. He's gonna have to pay SNAP benefits per a judge, and you're going to agree to reopen the government, which is what the Republicans want, with only a handshake deal in place to talk about these ACA subsidies. Again, for those of you that have been living under a rock, I suppose, something going on. I don't know about. Am I early or something? Okay, okay. It says there's four people here. I was like, did I miss something? Yeah. Want to make sure we hey, we're gonna name the Democrats that flipped. We're gonna say vote these people the fuck out, and one of them's Fetterman. I already know. I already know that he had a fucking stroke. No wonder he and Trump are like buddies. And yes, yes, the Indianapolis Colts are 8-2.
Why? Hello and welcome, everybody. Also, good morning. If you're Save.
Okay. Every morning, yeah, every morning we rage, right? But yeah, starting the show. Well, one of those songs that I've always had a great appreciation for music, but yeah, I heard this song my whole life. And then obviously, while I was on active duty. I just want to point out the people closest to war don't want it. Just so you know. God, I hope I never have to hope I have to do this for real. This shit's devastating. Holy shit. That's the way we felt about it. All that shit that I was learning when I was on active duty. You hope you never had to use it. You know, one of my favorite stories about it's Veterans Day. You're gonna eat it. Um, One of my favorite stories about being on active duty in the Marine Corps infantry is they were having trouble in McMap, Marine Corps martial arts, of getting Marines to go full speed against each other. Most guys have never fought. Full disclosure, most grown ass men have never been in a fist fight. Okay, even the ones that want it, they ain't they got a glass jaw. What are you talking about? They went on hype. All right, so you're trying to teach someone to like uh, block their bullshit overhand right. You're not going to get too many full speed overhand rights before people start getting pissed, you know, spitting out teeth and shit and smacking each other the fuck around. I can't believe you just fucking hit me in the mouth, right? So you don't get too many of them, right? So they put you with bags and you hold bags and it's just like when you play football. If any of you ever played football, running into somebody and they got a big ass giant pad, that human sized pad on, it's not the same as hitting somebody else and they got pads on, right? So we're struggling. These guys just came back from like their third tour to Iraq. They're not also trying to have nose surgery and fucking they're missing teeth and shit. Um, so we take a break and this gunny, this like jacked as fuck, big ass man walked among all of us and was like, "All right, Marines, to the woods." And he took us to the woods. And this is something that I can promise you has probably happened to every Marine infantryman before us. But they took us out to the wood line, and you're supposed to be getting hazed. Good to go. So it's not supposed to be fun. But we get out there into the bush, and the reason we went that way is because there's cameras everywhere. There's, there's photographers everywhere and videographers everywhere because it's McMap. It was like a new program, right? So you got all these guys that just came back from like 3 tours. They don't give a fuck about McMap, bitch. I'm shooting you with a toe. What are we talking about, right? So they don't give a fuck about fisticuffs. Get the fuck out of here. Funny enough, we started taking McMap and got into a giant brawl in public. I'm just throwing it out there, okay? And whooped all their asses. It was hilarious. Um, all that practice with them overhand rights. So this gunny takes us into the wood line, and everybody's cringing, right? Like, oh god, we're about to get fucked up. And he just explains this McMap shit is some pussy shit. This ain't how Marines fight. Somebody that's bendy, that means if I twist you, you ain't gonna break. Get under me, and I'm gonna show you way Marines have fought historically. Okay? And this motherfucker had the history of how Marines have fought in the bag. So he could tell you, you know, 10 years ago we was teaching this, 20 years ago he was teaching this, 30, 40, 50 years ago he was teaching this. In World War II, this is how we did it. For the record, my favorite, I want to say it was World War II. Anyway, wrist control was a motherfucker, right? So what you would want to do is grab the guy's gun hand, right? And uh, turn, you like keep your arms straight out in front of your face and turn hard away from him, and you can basically throw him around by his wrist onto the ground, okay? And then you step on their armpit. You see my face? You step on their armpit and you yank as hard as you fucking can. You're gonna get the gun out of their hand and also pull their fucking gun hand out of socket. Just mental image. And then you're gonna take your off boot and you're gonna jam it in his ear. Yeah, that was how they used to teach people how to fight. So, now that we're teaching you, like, hey, I know it's hard to, like, want to make noise. Make groan and fucking, you know what I mean? Do all the shit that you was doing. Make it look like you're going full speed. Because obviously you don't want to hurt the guy to your right and left. You got to use him at some point. You don't want to piss him off either, right? So just put some in it and fucking get through this shit because it's bullshit. When you really get in a fight with somebody, you gonna want to rip somebody's fucking heart out, right? And you're just like sitting there like, that was badass. Anyway, yeah. Today is the Marine Corps birthday. Tomorrow's Veterans Day. Okay, today is a fucking Marine Corps birthday, right? I think I'm supposed to be obnoxious. I was gonna be cute and be like, "Oh, veterans, support, hey, hey." I mean, we could just put Second Marine Division on. We can put it on there. Big old black-haired gunny came out there and just fucking told us, like, "Hey, yeah." I mean, if you think about the people that are at the end of their political careers anyway, and they're like resigning or there's no fucking way they'll win, um, Chuck Schumer, they're all just getting theirs. Yeah. So back to anyway what we was talking about. I thought that would be like shocking. People like, what the fuck? Yeah. War's no goddamn good. Yeah, I'd be pissed this morning too. Yeah. Hey, good morning, Zeke, Stacy, Kara. Angie Squint, Evelyn Beck, Val, Miss Danielle. All right, let's start with the horror stories first. BBC reporting live dozens of inmates found hanged in an Ecuador prison. It seems like to me there's a purge going on of poor people and or people in prison. They're being used as slave labor and they're practicing doing all of the bunch of horrific shit to people on them too. Morning rhythm, buddy. Air pollution levels are spiking in India's capital. Yeah, dozens of prisoners found hanged in Ecuador. See, what is happening is Jesus. The Guardian reporting climate disasters displaced a quarter million people in the last decade. As I've sat here and talked about climate change, we talked about climate change a lot, right? Let's share the show today. Happy Marine Corps birthday slash Veterans Day. I know Veterans Day is tomorrow, but just sharing the show real quick as we get going. Hashtag JWR. Yeah, but don't act like the people in power right now don't realize that based on their voting record and who they're fucking friends with, and a reminder, one of the things we frequently have to talk about is God, how awful Facebook and fucking it's just awful. Twitter's just bad, man. Russia arms serial killers to fight in Ukraine. Murderers turn soldier of fortune. There's a difference between stalking an innocent person and killing them and fighting a front facing war where they know where you are. Jesus Christ. Jeez. Hey, if there's anybody out there that makes anti Russia, anti Israel, like pro Palestinian, pro Russian, or pro Ukrainian music, and you want to be famous, like, holy shit, you could just have a shtick now. And your shtick is that you make international music in support of people. You know what I'm saying? because Russia is jailing musicians in Russia over a teenager. If anybody ever watched Parks and Rec, it's like in Russia they jail people, but the reasons are even dumber. Protest music. They jail teenagers over protest music. As Israel attacks Lebanon and then tells them no, push harder, find Hezbollah. You you see how they bully people out of their land and shit? Syria is poised to join a U.S.-led global anti-Islamic state coalition when U.S. Donald Trump hosts Shura. Syria has foiled two separate Islamic State plots to assassinate President Ahmed al-Shara. Crazy is right. No shit. The Polish Prime Minister says if Ukraine loses their war, our situation in Poland gets worse. No shit. It's probably going to get worse whether or not they win or not. I'm telling you, the people in charge are dumb enough that don't mark my words. I Russia's going to start another war on another front. They're either going to engage with the US in Venezuela when the US attacks Venezuela, or they're going to attack Poland. I fucking said it, right? In Cameroon, they just swore in the world's oldest president for their 8th term. You must be doing something right. When you just make all of the right, you must have just made all the right decisions forever. See, that's what I don't want to be president forever. But I want to be president where they're like, how could you let someone else have the job? He's fucking awesome. You know, like, just let him be president. He's fucking cool. The EU and Belgium are at odds over Ukrainian repatriation loans, is what they're calling them. Keep in mind, this war could be over in a week, but people are trying to profit here. We got some capitalizing to do. Isn't capitalism fun? It keeps the weak bad guy in war longer. Yay, capitalism, right? Instead of just put a fucking tomahawk through his fucking living room window and get this shit over with. What the fuck are we talking about? You know how many people died for this? That tomahawk costs like nothing. It's like there's one with his name on it sitting somewhere, I'm sure. And yes, I'm going to raspberry you. The biggest polluters in the world skipped COP30 for Europe to pick up the climate tab. The leaders of the United States, China, and India, the world's three biggest polluters. Here's the way I feel about it. The US has to be a world leader in clean energy. We don't have anything else to fucking export. We don't make shit here. That's our. You know, the biggest problem in the United States is we don't have anything to export. We import everything. Think about it. Your car, your cell phone, your TV, your fucking appliances, all foreign made. Most goods, foreign made. We don't make anything here. And we should. We should. Have said it before. I think we ought to federally legalize marijuana, turn it into a cash crop. Think about it. We got places in the United States having drought and shit. The climate is warming. You know what's good and warm and dry? That's what I hear. Good old Mary J, right? And we don't have a crop, a cash crop that's like real good everywhere. See, I'm trying to solve problems by saying, like, look, I'm not a capitalist, but like, that's better than keeping it fucking illegal. Where there's like 30 states that already have it legal, and they're making all kinds of money, and they're seeing all kinds of progress in their states. But like, the dumb fuck states, I live in one, right, are not capitalizing on this. You wouldn't have homeless people if you have legal weed. You have almost no homeless people. You have programs to get people off the street. Amish furniture, right? Wicker furniture. That the shit that sits in front of. No, is it made in China too? Go figure. And those turquoise necklaces that you get on Indian reservations, I'm pretty sure those are made here. Made in China. My that turbis I'm drinking out of. So we don't make anything. We gotta be a world leader in clean energy and clean air, and push India and China to have better practices. One of the things about socialism, I'm one of those people. I do my research, right? I'm the founder of the American Socialist Party. I gotta have every argument in the bag. And one of the arguments against socialism is how would you handle the economy? And what's funny about the way we aim our dollar now, the way we've said, hey, we're gonna protest, boycott, and strike. We're gonna do it as we live and breathe. We said stop using meta tools. No Facebook threads, IG, WhatsApp, Messenger, none of that shit. Get off of Twitter. Stop using Amazon. Start shopping locally, eating locally, all that shit. Save up your money. Get out of debt. Live debt free as long as you can. Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, here's your ad for the day since I'm right here, right? Hey, most of the people I talk to all day are living paycheck to paycheck, have never missed a payment, and their credit's still in the toilet. And then what we're able to do is more than cut their payment in half and cut the time until they get out of debt down to just like a few years. So instead of being broke the rest of your life and living paycheck to paycheck the rest of your life, let me, a customer, tell you what it's like going through this debt resolution program with my employer. My wife and I have cash on hand, and we can go out to eat. And when we go out to eat, there's nobody else there. Why? Because everybody else lives paycheck to paycheck, never miss a payment, credits in the toilet, and they ain't got no money. You see what I'm saying? I work for Beyond Finance. I work for accredited debt relief. I work in finance, y'all. I try to tell people stop paying your lenders immediately. You talk about being disruptive? Honey, disruption's my job. I'm here to stop your behavior patterns. The behavior that got us into this position where Republicans and Democrats are controlled by the CEOs of Fortune 500 companies who take the interest you pay them and gamble on your life overnight. And oh, by the way, you know what's super profitable in their eyes? Prisons. Prisons. That's right. And this regime wants to jail their political opponents. Think about that. And either unalive you or turn you into a slave labor. Hmm? And by the way, one of the craziest things about this situation, about me talking about that as though a return to slavery is where we are, oh my God. The President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, owns a resort. I want to say it's in India. Is it in India? And he imported the labor from Myanmar, like hundreds of people to build this resort. And once they got there, they confiscated all their personal identification, and then they charged them so much to live there that they don't make enough money to leave. So when you have someone who has no choice but to just do the work that you give them, what's that called? That's exactly right. And he's going to do it in Israel. I mean, he thinks he's going to live till Christmas, but like he's going to do it in Israel, right? And keep in mind, his kids want to do this. So this is what they've just decided as a people. This is what we're going to do. So don't be shocked when they break ground on a new Trump casino in. Don't be surprised. Stacy said, speaking of going out to eat, was very happy to see our local Mexican restaurant had a sign on their door offering free meals for homeless people and SNAP recipients. Warm my heart. The atrocities of the powerful to the powerless. If only I had powers. Here's some Israeli soldiers talking about them committing war crimes, using civilians as human shields, breaking rank. The U.S. was rebuked at the UN in Geneva for refusing to cooperate. Shameful. Aw, saddest shit ever, man. Veterinarians had to euthanize over 100 neglected dogs. Over 100 dogs. Several dozen horses, 120 dogs, and two goats. Desolate condition, all malnourished and sick. Dogs were just straight up euthanized. Wow. That's a shitty story, Jared. Well, it's not like I wanted to fucking Swiss. Goddamn. The Swiss suck. Alright. Obviously, Donald Trump trying to negotiate for Ukraine is stupid because he sucks at negotiating. Yeah, yeah. It's pretty bad. Pretty bad. Hold your aminals extra tight today. Hey, look, Bill Gates, who's friends. Hey, Bill Gates is friends with Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Bill Gates was on the Epstein list. Business Insider is still talking to Bill Gates, who's on the Epstein list. Kara asked, did Yam Tits actually use Air Force One to fly over the Commanders game? Heard he got a great reception at the stadium. Yeah, I watched a video that felt like it was the Commanders game, that felt like he was being loudly fucking booed. Hmm. Mm-mm. So you understand that they've been saying when the AI bubble burst, that's the US economy shot, right? Okay, just throwing that out there. Tuops is on fire, and that's a Russian port. Sea drones. Hey, remember everybody saying there's aliens in the ocean? No, they're just sea drones. Mm-mm. Remember yesterday we talked about, hey, there's a super typhoon in Philippines right after they just dealt with a regular typhoon. They're saying more than 8 dead and 1 million people displaced as a result of a climate emergency. And I would just ask you, Americans, whose country is made up of immigrants. Immigrants built the United States. White people who make up 60% of the population immigrated to the United States. Hey, 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 black people are not um they're not from here either. They immigrated here too. Latin people, so understand when I say Latin, I'm speaking to our Spanish friends, our Portuguese friends, right? Also immigrants to the United States. And this means that the only people that should be the American Indians are the only people that it makes sense for them to be anti-immigrant. If there's a white hating Indian person, that tracks. That makes sense. Hmm? Especially if you're from here. You know what I'm saying? You definitely are justified 100%. You notice how you never see an anti-immigrant in American Indian? Not even a caricature of one. Notice how there's not a super bitter, well-known American Indian who fucking hates white people. Full stop. In Latvia, public mobilization grows in support of a treaty for preventing violence against women. Protests are planned across the country on Thursday. So hey, they're protesting in Latvia. Okay, I just want to point out that Donald Trump is a fucking pedophile and president. And so when I read a headline that says US lawmakers launch new push for missing Ukrainian children, of course they are. Of course they are. He's a pedophile. Of course he's thinking about the missing children. I told you. Okay, okay. Listen. I'm but a warlord. I'm not, and when I say that I mean like I was in 2-2. Uh Here's the president of Ukraine saying Putin may attack an EU country before the war in Ukraine ends. So again, I want to make sure I pointed this out. I had just got done saying that like he's in a no-win situation in Ukraine. Stalemate. What do they normally do when they get stalemated? They just want to go play a different game completely. They'll go play. They're gonna go attack Poland, right? Just make sure that we said it. Yeah, he pardoned a bunch of people, but I think the problem with pardoning them is that they were all charged with state crimes, and the president can't pardon people for state crimes. Seems kind of weird to do that, right? Seems like he's gonna die. Australian companies import millions of tons of Russian oil products through a sanction loophole. Good. Jesus Christ. As aquifers dry up, Tehran rations water and calls for rain prayers. You can't, yeah, just so everybody knows, if they didn't get charged federally and they just have state charges, the president can't pardon you for that. So, listen, I've sat here for how long? I mean, we are, goddamn it, we are 11 months in, kids. We've been here for 11 months. Simplify, fucking, I will be here every day. I ain't going nowhere. Good to go. A million people displaced in the Philippines. Fucking Tehran. They're thinking about turning the water off in the capital city. Dozens of prisoners in Ecuador found hanging. They're purging the poor. Just so the rich can get richer. Drax is still burning 250-year-old trees sourced from forests in Canada. The Drax power plant. $1 trillion added to the debt. Yep. Ukraine scrambles for electricity as their ability to generate electricity is at a standstill. So imagine being in a war and the lights get shut off. In a second city in Mashhad. Hey, if you're not staying up to date in what's going on in the world, think about this. If you stopped watching the news and you're not paying attention, you're about to be really fucking shocked when fucking think about this. Iranians move when they immigrate. Not to mention the white South Africans, who by the way are super fucking racist. The Israeli Jews that are gonna have to move. Palestinian refugees, Philippine refugees, right? Where we talk about Tortuga, Ecuador, right? Clearly shit's going wild in Ecuador. But the water levels are below 3% in dam reservoirs for Iran's second city. Ukraine's looking to order 27 Patriot air defense systems, bolstering their air defense. They're literally saying, we have Russia stalemated. They're gonna look elsewhere. Hey, and by the way, I'll probably never be president, but if I was, do you know one of the first things that I would do? I would make sure that the U.S. is party to the Rome Statute. And that way, no future president is above the law. Russia attacking southern Odessa with drones. Sounds like a turtle. There probably are a lot of sea turtles. Three drones detected above Belgium's Dole nuclear power plant. It's not like when the world ends, we won't know how. We will know exactly how it ends. It feels like you're watching like every day is a snapshot of like what's going on. Every plot, every story moves forward. Deep in occupied Crimea. I had to really search for the last story here. Deep in occupied Crimea, partisans cut railway feeding Russia's Kherson and that's a word. Zapor Zaporizhia. Zaporizhia. This is a good thing. Let's switch to U.S. news and politics, which is what we do about 40-45 minutes in every day. Okay. Here's your pardon story from CNN. Okay. As I've said before, I'll read to you. U.S. President Donald Trump listens during an event. That's the picture, sorry. President Donald Trump has pardoned a long list of his political allies for their support or involvement in alleged plans to overturn the 2020 presidential election, according to the Department of Justice's pardon attorney, Ed Martin. Individuals listed in a proclamation, which Martin posted on X late Sunday, included high profile figures like Trump lawyers Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, and the president's former chief of staff Mark Meadows, among dozens of others. This proclamation ends a grave national injustice perpetrated upon the American people following the 2020 presidential election and continues the process of national reconciliation. A full, complete, and unconditional pardon. I think he's going to die. Presidential pardons only apply to federal charges, not state and local charges. Pardon also explicitly states it does not apply to Donald Trump. What? Yo. Oh, this is Aurora, Colorado. Was a deal about a director who resigned from the BBC yesterday? I don't know. Happy Veterans Day. It's tomorrow. Marine Corps birthday is today. Wow, 2,200 flights were canceled in the U.S. yesterday. Hey, Bob. Morning, sir. You missed the story about killing 100 dogs. Yeah, here's the BBC director resigning over the editing of a Trump speech. Yeah, here's the article. I'll read. The head of the BBC and the British broadcaster's top news executive both resigned Sunday after criticism of the way the organization edited a speech by U.S. President Donald Trump. The BBC said Director General Tim Davie and News CEO Deborah Turness had both decided to leave the corporation. Britain's publicly funded national broadcaster has been criticized for editing a speech Trump made on January 6, 2021, before protesters attacked the Capitol in Washington. Critics said the way the speech was edited for a BBC documentary last year was misleading and cut out on a section where Trump said he wanted supporters to demonstrate peacefully. A clip of the BBC Panorama episode shared by the Daily Telegraph appears to show different parts of Trump's speech edited into one quote. In the episode, Trump is shown saying, "We're going to walk down to the Capitol and I'll be there with you and we'll fight. We fight like hell." According to video and transcript from Trump's comments that day, he said, "We're going to walk down to the Capitol and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and men and women who are probably not going to be cheering so much for them because you never take our country back with weakness. You have to show strength and you have to be strong. We have come to demand that Congress do the right thing and only count the electors who have been lawfully slated. Lawfully slated. I know everyone here will soon be marching over the Capitol building peacefully and patriotically. Make your voices heard." Nearly an hour later, Trump used the phrase "fight like hell" towards the end of the speech, but without referencing the Capitol. So, we fight like hell, and if you don't fight like hell, you're going to have a country anymore. I don't give a shit. Don't give a shit if they edited out the little part where he said, like, peacefully and patriotically. It was too late. They planned this. The worst part about this that has to be totally humiliating for every Trumper ever. Okay? Well, I mean, I just read the story. It was from a BBC interview where they edited it, apparently. They edited out the part where he said peacefully and patriotically. Apparently. Okay? So, first of all, you understand what resignation means. It means they're getting a fucking attorney. And rather than capitulate, which would be capitulating would be the executives deciding to admit we left that out. Leave it out. It doesn't matter. It's too late by then. It's too late by then. It's stupid as fuck. Guardians pitcher Emmanuel Clace and Luis Ortiz indicted for allegedly rigging pitches. I I think I think gambling on your sport should mean your exit. Here's the USDA. The U.S. Department of Agriculture directed states to roll back any steps taken to issue full food aid benefits to low income Americans. The new guidance listed on Saturday follows U.S. Supreme Court order on Friday, allowed the Trump administration to continue withholding $4 billion to fully fund the aid for nearly 42 million recipients, pending a lower court ruling. Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program benefits, also known as food stamps, lapsed at the start of the month for the first time in the program's 60 years. Already, keep in mind, already spending $8 to $9 billion a month on SNAP. Okay. Yeah. Here's another article from New York Times. I want to point out, make it very plainly stated. The President of the United States is doing the only thing that he knows how to do well, and that is delay the inevitable. He does not know how to win. He can't handle fucking losing. So, what he's gotten really good at in a courtroom is delay, delay, delay. So, by getting a stay and an injunction and and it just means he gets to pretend like he's doing some shit for a couple days. And just so we all know, he he doesn't have that ability. Just like the tariffs, they're about to say he doesn't have the power of the purse. Just like the ACA subsidies, where he'll say like he didn't have the power to do that. He has overreached. He has tried to expand executive power. He's stepping all over Congress. Okay? Obviously, there's not going to be a lot of news. Here's AP News 6 minutes ago. States face uncertainty as Trump administration tries to reverse SNAP food payments. Donate to your local food banks. The most vulnerable Senate Democrat has not flipped. Jon Ossoff. I wouldn't have flipped either. Donald Trump renews a Republican battle cry: repeal Obamacare. I want to continue to point out that the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, and Obamacare are the same fucking thing, but Donald Trump is dumb as fuck and also a racist. And he does not understand or care that the ACA and Obamacare are the same fucking thing. He knows, he does not know, does not understand, does not care. You saw me say it, so you don't have to wonder. Do you think Donald Trump knows what the ACA is? No. Do you think that he knows that the Obamacare and the ACA are the same thing? No. If you told him that, do you think that he would understand it and he would apply it and it would impact his behavior moving forward? No. Oops. Oops. World stocks jump as investors eye potential end to U.S. government shutdown. It's all about the money. That's right. Project Syndicate. Again, not impressed with him politically, but man to man, personally, love Gavin Newsom. He's great. He's great. You see, I was never the person to troll the bully, but Gavin Newsom's that he's fixated on trolling. Yep, I try to fucking tell you. Yeah, and we should name and shame. Democrat unity fractures. Tell me if you saw that coming. Raise your hand if you saw that coming. No separation between church and state. Inside a Texas church's training academy for Christians running for office. Zohran Mamdani gave New York women a glimmer of hope. They helped make him mayor. Hey, let's go. Weak and rudderless. Hey. House Democrats say Donald Trump, Ghislaine Maxwell is going to ask Donald Trump to commute her sentence. I don't know that he'll do it. I think he likes being cruel, and Ghislaine seems like someone. Here's an article: 6 takeaways from the Senate deal to end the government shutdown. And I'll read some. After more than a month of stalemate, the Senate on Sunday took a crucial step toward reopening the government when a small but critical group of Democrats broke from their party and voted with Republicans to advance legislation that would end the longest government shutdown in history. The shutdown's not over yet. Sunday's 60-40 vote cleared the way for the Senate to formally debate the spending measure before a final vote. If the Senate approves it, the package must still be passed by the House. which has been in an extended recess and is not scheduled a return date, and signed by President Trump. Still, the deal that senators reached on Sunday night reflected important lessons for both parties from the shutdown fight and is likely to have far reaching policy and political implications long after the government grinds back to life. Here are 6 takeaways. Democrats' unity crumbled as the shutdown dragged on. In 40 days, Chuck Schumer, New York minority leader, kept his Democratic caucus unified as the government shut down. That discipline didn't hold forever. It broke without Democrats achieving what they insisted was their chief demand. The extension of health care subsidies are scheduled to expire at the end of the year. The group of moderate senators who broke from their party said they could no longer hold out on a deal while Americans suffered the consequences of a shuttered government. They cited a commitment from Senator John Thune of South Dakota, the Republican leader, that they would at least receive a vote on the tax credits sometime in December. They agreed to reopen the government on a handshake on a sometimes. On an I promise to sometime this month. You don't ever handshake on that. This bill's not perfect, but it takes important steps to reduce their shutdown's hurt. The promise of a vote does not guarantee that legislation will be passed. In fact, any measure to address healthcare subsidies faces long odds in a Republican-controlled Congress and given President Trump's frequent broadsides against the Affordable Care Act. So the Democrats agreed to reopen the government for nothing. For nothing. As a result, the deal put bitter Democratic divisions on display. Mr. Schumer tersely told reporters that he would not vote for the bill because it lacked health care provisions, and he voiced objections on the Senate floor. House Democrats, including the minority leader Hakeem Jeffries of New York, blasted the deal as insufficient. House Democrats have consistently maintained that bipartisan legislation that funds the government must also decisively address the Republican health care crisis. Representative Ro Khanna of California went a step further, saying that Mr. Schumer is no longer effective and should be replaced. If you can't lead a fight to stop healthcare premiums for skyrocketing for Americans, what will you fight for? Healthcare will stay in the political spotlight. Trump's pressure tactics works even as voters blamed his party. Trump stayed on the sidelines, so noticeably, and so did Republican leaders. The Democrats notched a few gains. You fucking suck at your job, and you gave away your leverage when they lost their leverage. After what happened in these elections, yeah. The bipartisan comfort with Islamophobia harms us all. I agree. Yeah. I'm not I'm not afraid of a non-white, non-Christian person's religion. I am deathly afraid of the death cult that a white Christian is in. Mm-hmm. And how do I know? How do I know what to be afraid of? My dears, my grandmother, the one that was super fucking racist, Southern Baptist. You want to talk about a little pretty little hate machine? How about that little Southern Baptist church out in the middle of fucking nowhere that my grandmother went to? They spoke in fucking tongues. Yeah. None of the shit that they was talking about was in the Bible. Nope. Openly talked about being violent. Mm-hmm. Anyway, just talking about going to church as a kid. Also, Adelita Grijalva has still not been sworn in. And that's still a bunch of bullshit. Using our country's poorest as pawns. Donald J. Trump. Using them as pawns. I can't believe Donald Trump's gonna lose the snap fight, and Democrats are just gonna be like, yeah, we should reopen the government now that you gave up all your leverage. If Trump gets his way, Washington's new $3.7 billion stadium could bear his name. By the way, here's the Independent. Yeah, I think it's the Independent. Or is it? Is that not what this is? iNews. Yeah. Capitulating. Yes. John Fetterman is trash. He looks like a fucking bum. I just want to point it. I just want to throw this out there. I ain't never seen that motherfucker in a suit. He just looks like a bum. Pennsylvania senior senator, alongside Republican U.S. Senator Dave McCormick. Capitulating is unacceptable, said Summer Lee. No, hell no, Donald Trump's not paying. Did you guys see? Did I don't know if we talked about this on the show yesterday, but did you guys see the article where the people who tore down the East Wing haven't been paid? Did you guys see that shit yet? They're already knocking like, "Hey man, we didn't get paid to tear down that building." Yeah, Igor Fetterman. Here's The Economist. 4 charts that explain why Donald Trump is in trouble. Why can't it ever be he's in trouble because he's a fucking bum? Everybody hates him. Bernie Sanders calls out 8 Democrats. Let's make sure we name them if we see a list. I don't see the very, very bad vote. Federal agents pepper sprayed a 1-year-old. ICE pepper sprayed an infant. Gavin Newsom vents at Senate Democrats. Betrayal. A reminder, John Fetterman has had a stroke and nothing he says should be taken seriously. It should be like, okay, Grandpa, go home. Here, speaking of Fetterman, here's his statement. He's a piece of shit. Fuck John Fetterman. This is why I couldn't be a politician. Because I'd be telling these dudes, fuck you to your face. Push that old man down. The Atlantic. I can't believe they just won all these elections and then they're gonna shit on you. Right after resounding like a year unlike I've ever seen for Democrats. Donald Trump winning in 2024 was a fucking gift for Democrats. They've won everything. Why are you going around fucking it up? Here's the list from Newsweek. Thank you. The Democrats that voted to reopen the government. Let's name and shame all of them. We don't care about those fucking Republican traitors. We knew what they were going to do. Okay? All right, the 8 senators who voted with Republicans in favor of the deal to get the government open again were Tim Kaine, Democrat from Virginia. Oh, really? Catherine Cortez Masto from Nevada. Fetterman from Pennsylvania. Maggie Hassan, Democrat, New Hampshire. Dick Durbin from Illinois. Angus King, an independent from Maine. This is why we need an American Socialist Party. We don't need an independent in office. We don't need someone that isn't taking counsel from your party and we all vote together. Jeannie Shaheen from New Hampshire, and Jackie Rosen from Nevada. So 2 from Nevada, 2 from New Hampshire. Okay? Shaheen, Hassan, and King helped broker the deal. So an independent and the 2 Democrats from New Hampshire. This was the only deal on the table. It was our best chance to reopen the government and immediately begin negotiations to extend ACA tax credits to tens of millions of people. No. No. It doesn't guarantee a vote. The problem is that it does not guarantee a vote. It does not guarantee a vote. They're lying to you too. They're lying to you. They're lying to you, and they lied to you in their statements after they voted to take away ACA subsidies. Effectively, like if it's not included in the negotiation, we don't agree to reopen the government. You lost your fucking leverage. Your leverage was withholding SNAP payments. It was the Occam's razor, a bad choice or a worse one, right? And the worst choice, starve people, is off the table. Republicans have no leverage. The government is closed on, and it's their fault. Mm-hmm. There's no reason to go do that. Mm-mm. Nope. No reason to negotiate there. Listen, here's the thing. The older I get, the more I'm like, do I really need a JD? Do I need to have been an attorney to understand that a handshake we'll vote on those billions of dollars of subsidies as soon as we reopen the government? No. That seems stupid. We have all the leverage in the world. Money. Money. Walmart's taking a big hit. Think about, you got to look at Hassan, the 2 people from New Hampshire, and Hassan King. King, Hassan, and Sheen. You got to look at those 3 people and look at who's throwing money at them. Mm-hmm. But now, just know, if they vote to reopen the government, Adelita Grijalva gets sworn in. The Epstein files are going to get released. Okay. America deserved better. Moderate Democrats voting with the GOP are making a terrible mistake. 8 hours ago, appeals court rules Trump administration can be forced to pay full SNAP benefits. Just before midnight Sunday, a unanimous three-judge panel first declined to block an order from a district court judge. Tuesday night. Now, understand, it's not final. It doesn't mean that government's reopened. You know, one of the things about reading comprehension, okay? One of the things about reading comprehension is you say, "Hey, that 60-40 yesterday didn't reopen the government." Glad to see everybody's good. Hey Al, hey Bob. Burp. Semper Fidelis. It is Monday, November 10th, and November 10th, 2025 marks 250 years of the United States Marine Corps. Founded in Tun Tavern in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, November 10, 1775. In a bar. The Marine Corps was founded in a bar. Mm-hmm. The first application of Marines would take long guns and climb up on the masts of ships and shoot the cannoneers out and the firing officers on the cannon line on the other ship, so that they wouldn't be able to take the boat down. And of course, they'd take out the opposite sniper. So counter snipe, then take out your officer barking orders, then take out the cannoneers themselves with long rifles. That was the first purpose of Marines. Shipboarding. hmm Pirates. The government's pirates. Anyway, I'm just kidding. I did not see JD Vance talking to all the Marines. Fuck JD Vance. Couch fucker. Jens Stoltenberg feared he would be NATO's last Secretary General. The Norwegian statesman, who weathered a stormy decade at the helm of the alliance, says Russia's invasion of Ukraine could have been prevented. NATO's former Secretary General has described the painful moment in February 2022 when he refused President Zelensky's desperate plea to impose a no-fly zone over Ukraine. Jens Stoltenberg feared their conversation might be the last phone call the president would make. We all feared for the life of President Zelensky and his family. He called me from a bunker in Kiev with Russian tanks just up the road, and he said, I accept you're not sending in NATO ground troops, though I disagree. Please close the airspace. Prevent the Russian planes, drones, and helicopters from flying and attacking us. And he said, I know NATO can do it because you've done it before. NATO closed the airspace over Bosnia-Herzegovina in the 90s to prevent atrocities, and NATO allies, including the UK, closed the airspace over northern Iraq to protect the Kurds. Stoltenberg said he had told Zelensky, I understand why you're asking for this, but it will not happen because if NATO is going to close the airspace to Ukraine, the first thing we have to do is take out Russian air defense system in Belarus and Russia, and we cannot fly over Ukrainian airspace with Russian air defense missiles targeting NATO planes. And if there's a Russian plane or helicopter in the air, we have to shoot it down, and then we're in a full war with NATO and Russia. And we're not willing to do that. What is the difference between world war and a world at war? I'll never understand. And I wasn't reading that. That every now and then you're going to get an unfiltered thought, an original thought. What is the difference between the entire world is warring and a world war? What's the difference? Concentration of power? Assets? Profitability? It's got to be that. Because NATO refused to close the airspace over Ukraine because if they do that and they don't just take out Russia's air defense systems, NATO aircraft are going to get shot down by Russia or attacked by Russian aircraft, and then they're in a full-throated war. So there's war everywhere, all the time. Traitors. All white people, by the way. Remember, Jens Stoltenberg, the former Inspector General of NATO, said we could have prevented all of this. Here's Donald Trump getting fucking mercilessly booed for trying to speak at a football game. You dumbass. Yeah. Primary, all of them.
There's even more bones than last time.
Oh, Oh, look at the net worth. Look at the net worth of the people that voted with the Republicans to reopen the government. Fetterman's the least rich among them, worth about 1.6 million, all the way up to Jackie Rosen, worth 15 mil. The Democrats that voted to reopen the government voted with their stock portfolios rather than their conscience. Never forget Jackie Rosen, Cortez Masto, 4.6 mil. Angus King, independent, 9.3 million. I promise, as someone who does not want to run for public office but would do the job, I won't seek profit. I won't seek profit. I'll write a book, I'll write a memoir after I get out of office. hmm But you won't see me stuffing my pockets or voting to stuff my pockets. Nope. Not while you're in office. You know what I mean? You want to make money as a public speaker after. You know? That's why you should get into politics when you're young. That's why it's a young man's game, not these old fucks. These old fucks, they don't become conservative when they get older. They're trying to make money. Stop saying conservative. If these old motherfuckers were getting more conservative in their old age, you know what they would be doing? Desperately trying to preserve these institutions. Like SNAP, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, Disability. That's what Republicans are here to do. They're supposed to manage these programs, maintain institutions. That's the literal definition of a Republican, of a conservative. That's what they're supposed to do. And look at them voting en masse to fuck us all over, right? To raise the costs for all of us. A, a quarter, about 30% of SNAP benefits are paid to Walmart and Kroger. What do you think happens to your food costs when a third of the money used to buy food is gone and it's not there anymore? What happens to the food? It sits longer, spoils more often, and costs more to produce as a result. Come on, kids. Yeah, I don't think that it's okay to try to profit while you're in office. It's like a $175,000 a year job. You probably work way more than 40 hours, but you're getting paid no matter what. You get good health care no matter what. Fortunately for me, uh, being an elected official would only mean that I have health care for the first time and that my paycheck's guaranteed regardless of my effort level. So, I imagine I'd actually be all right as an elected official because the job actually represents some stability for me in terms of like affordable healthcare and a paycheck to go with it. Um, yeah, and I think it's never you're never done speaking on the way things are. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's fucking crazy. I would be working. I would be working here in Indianapolis, if I was an elected official, I would be trying to get near the people that run all the food pantries and try to use my platform to point people towards these food pantries. Hey, A lot of people are going to be going out, looking for food. Here's food pantries. In Indianapolis, we have one that was on the news. See? As an elected official, as someone who is a whore for fucking camera time, I'm going to want to drag the news to where these food pantries are. Because you need to make sure everybody knows where they can go and get some grub if they need it. Hmm? And I would not be surprised at all if, for example, the small businesses around us, if the Mexican restaurant that I love, I don't know how my wife feels about it, but the Mexican restaurant that I love, I wouldn't be surprised if they had a sign on the door saying "We'll feed you if you're hungry." Wouldn't surprise me at all. They seem like exactly the people to do that. Play a little Eat the Rich and get out of here, okay?
What if you were prepared for all
A
those
little bit of Eat the Rich, a little bit of weather. Yeah, you got all day to call them. 5 calls app. Call all of them and tell them you are a traitor. You're a class traitor. Oh, all of those people that voted to reopen the government with the Republicans are class traitors. They say they represent working people.
slick travel through the Appalachians?
Let's see. Oh, here we go. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. First of all, we got our first snow here in Indianapolis. It was a little dusting. It wasn't nothing. I wouldn't even call it an inch of snow. Okay. From Texas west, there's basically nothing going on, but looks like what did we say? Purple was winter weather warning. Winter weather warning, southern New Mexico. Freeze warning, southeast Arizona. Gets a little bit of a cold warning. Up in Seattle, rain snow mix. North Wisconsin, not really sure. I'm guessing snow. Looks like a bunch of winter weather snow for Michigan, basically the Great Lakes, up into Canada. But then it looks like all over Indiana, eastern Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee. That's West Virginia, Jared. Some parts of Ohio, up into Pennsylvania and in New York are all going to get snow, and it looks like rain in New York, Boston, up into Halifax, Quebec. It does look like there's a little moisture down there off the coast of Miami, um, and then I just think it's going to be cold in the south. I think that's what all this is. Um, Windy and dry in the west, and wintry in the east. Hey, have a great day. Keep your head on a swivel. No surprises. Part of the reasons that we talk about weather every day on this show is because of what happened in Hill Country, Texas. Okay? Keep your head on a swivel. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Semper Fi. Happy